media. Hey
Yeah.
everyone, what is happening? My name is Nick Baldwin, co-founder Lab Coat Agents. I'm so excited that you guys are on this webinar because we have an amazing guest. And yeah, drop in the chat where you guys are checking in from. I see a Jersey Shore in the house. What's up,
Oh
Jersey right
yeah.
here? Well, not in Jersey, but from Jersey. We got a lot of people from all around the world joining us. It's pretty awesome. We have an amazing guest today. Jared James is a renowned real estate coach. He's an entrepreneur, he's an author. He's celebrated for his profound understanding of sales and productivity. He's the founder and CEO of Jared James Enterprises. He leads one of the largest coaching companies in North America. He's dedicated to empowering real estate professionals to achieve unparalleled success. And Jared, as you know, if you follow him on social media, has a lot of thoughts. He has a lot of thoughts, a lot of opinions on things that are happening. He doesn't hold back on his thoughts. We were just talking about that before we went live. He says things that get him in trouble, and I do that too. I say things that get me in trouble. I just apologize later. So, Jared, thanks for being here with us. I appreciate you.
Yeah, man, thanks. It's good to do stuff with you guys. You guys have built an amazing group over at Lab Coats. So kudos to you
Appreciate it.
guys. Yeah,
Yeah,
you
appreciate it.
guys honestly have been kind of the model of, creating engagement and consistency within a group and stuff. So that's really
Oh, dude, well,
kudos
I
to you guys. I
appreciate
know
that.
that that's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work. We have a pretty large team. Some of those team members are on this call behind the scenes making everything work because I shouldn't be trusted to press buttons. But there's a lot of things going on in the industry. But before we get started, I want everyone to know you have a big event, like a mastermind going on
Yeah, that's a
in
small event.
Vegas.
That
That's a
is literally
small
the
one, but then
number
you
of
have a
people
big
we can
one.
put. Yeah, we do a social mastermind, man. I'm a big believer that social media is not social media, right? Social media is modern day marketing. That's all it is. And we keep calling it these things like social media so we can make excuses about the fact that we didn't grow up with it. And yet the truth is that the person in every single marketplace that wins is the one who's most visible. A recent study showed that a consumer in your area can only remember 2 to 3 people from each industry, and I think most of us would agree there's more than 2 to 3 agents in their area. And so what we do is we put them in a suite, and we get them to finally understand and really master this thing called social media, and give them the tools they need to be the most visible person in their area so that everybody knows about them, so that they're on people's phones every day, so that people have to make decisions about them every day. And we take this very complex thing that people have trouble understanding and we make it understand when it comes to today's market. So
Yeah, that's awesome. I just dropped the link in the chat. You also have another large event,
that's the
which
bigger
is
one. Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
the big
That's
one.
the
So we're just gonna
advance.
I just want everyone to know about these two events, and I'll drop that link in the chat as well.
Appreciate it, man. .com
jaredjamestoday.com/.
advance.
uh advance. Let me just grab that link
Yeah,
real
man.
quick.
That one, by the way, the social mastermind is May 29th and 30th in Vegas. We do it in a suite, small group, bring your computer and we literally that is hands-on workshop. Like we knock it out. I show you how to leverage the algorithm, how it works, how to get in front of people. And then the advance is our big event. That's the September 18th and 19th in Orlando. We'll have thousands of people there, thousands more online, and that is a 2 day, full days immersion of where the industry is, what adjustments we need to make, and then whether you're an individual agent, a team leader, a broker, whatever it is, we got a ton of breakout sessions too. And we end the whole thing with this year I think we're doing a white party to end it all. We got a cool
Oh,
band
that's
and we're doing a
cool.
white party. You used to say Diddy style when you said white
Yeah, I
party,
was
but
gonna say
I don't think
I
you
didn't
say
want to
that
bring
anymore.
that up.
Yeah, I don't think you say that anymore. I don't
Oh,
think that is looked at as a positive thing. And I
yeah,
can promise you, it's not that kind of party.
don't bring
Okay.
your baby oil. If you planned on it, do not
Yeah,
bring
yeah,
that.
that's exactly right. We're actually going to frisk people just to make sure they don't have baby oil.
No
Uh,
Johnson and Johnson allowed. In fact, if your last name is Johnson, you're not even allowed to go.
yeah, the
Just
only
to be
JJ
safe.
there will be me. No Johnson and Johnson. Okay, that's it. So it'll be a good time.
Amanda says no Diddy, LOL. That's what you have to say now whenever you have a party. Hey, I'm having a party, no Diddy. All right,
Well, you
cool.
say
Let's
white
jump
party,
into it.
Diddy was known for the white parties. Like that was
I
like, and everybody was
know.
like, I'm doing a Diddy party. And then it just shows you how quick our world changes where that's not a good thing anymore. That's
No,
not
it's
now.
definitely
Now
not.
it's
It's
amazing
definitely not.
because I don't know if you've watched any podcasts, but no celebrities were at any Diddy party ever.
No,
Like it's hilarious how quick everyone tells you they weren't there. I haven't seen
they're like,
one who's
not
like,
me.
no, I was there. Not one. Nobody was at a Diddy party. It was
Somebody
just
must have
Diddy and
been there, but
Jay-Z.
no one was there.
Yeah, it was just Diddy and Jay-Z. That's it.
All right,
They
so let's
they
jump in. Let's jump in because we could talk about Diddy all day, probably. Let's jump in.
yeah, they
So I
did they
want
did
to
a
talk
whiteout
about,
of the guest list.
yeah, exactly. I want to talk about the most recent situation that happened that is probably on everybody's mind. So we have Rocket Mortgage acquired Redfin, which is crazy. We can talk about that too. But then they went ahead like a week later or less than a week later, and they're acquiring Mr. Cooper. So what do you think what does this signal about where the industry is headed? You had a really great video about end to end. And I think that's
Yeah.
probably what we're looking at here. But are we going to be seeing more of this, and where is this going to lead us?
Yeah, man. We could literally just do a whole hour just on this. This is going to be a lot of what we do at our advance in September. Is just basically preparing people for this because, first off, you and I have not talked a lot. I'm not an alarmist. I have never been somebody who's like, get off the Zillow train, get off whatever. I always come from the perspective that competition is a good thing. Competition either eliminates you or makes you better. When half the industry is criticizing certain companies, I look at it and go, what can we learn from them? Like, what are they doing well? The fact that we look at somebody as competition means that they're doing something well to even compete with us, right? And so rather than criticize, let's learn from them and figure out how we add to the tool belt. Um, I am now on the other side. And I said to you before we started here, there's some stuff I can't say. There's pros and cons of being friends with a lot of the people in the industry who are making these decisions. And one of the cons is that I have to watch what I say because I don't want to divulge things that I know are private. But I can tell everyone in the industry that what we are living through right now is we are living through the app storification of our industry. This is what
Oh, that's a
everyone's
good one.
trying to do. It's the truth. It's so all you've heard about right now is you've got your Zillow super app. Okay. And the whole idea
Right.
is end to end. So you watch them pick up all of these companies, and their idea is that they want to get people into this app. And in this app, you will have everything you need. And the beauty of being able to bring people into everything you need, it's almost like when you go to a store or you buy in bulk and you get it cheaper, is that if we can get people into everything we do, well, then we can cut costs on the commission side and we can make it up on the mortgage side, or we can make it up on the title side, or we can make it up. And there's all these different things that it gives you the power to do. And so when you look at what Zillow did originally with their super app, most people don't realize 1 in 5 users on Zillow is using the super app. That is shocking. And
Hmm.
that should scare people in our industry. And the reason it should scare people in our industry is because we are in the economy of convenience, meaning that people don't always make the decisions that are in their best interest. They make decisions based on what's convenient. The reason why referrals are so powerful and they work so well is because everyone has all of these options. And when you go to hire a painter, there's 500 of them. And I don't know who does a good job. And I don't know who's going to get brought off to prison halfway through, painting my house. And I don't know who's going to steal from I don't know. So when someone comes to you and goes, use Bob, he's amazing, we go, whew, nice and easy, convenient. You believe it, I believe it, let's go. So what these companies are trying to do, like I said, super app, 1 in 5 users use it. They want 75% within 2 years, is they want to get people into their ecosystem. Okay. And when I say the app storification of our industry, I don't know if you watched that documentary on the founding and the growth of Uber. And I forget right now the
I read the
CEO.
book.
I forget the founder's name of Zillow. I mean of Zillow of Uber.
Zillow.
We'll just
It
call
was.
him Uber founder. But
It's on the tip of
when
my. It's on the tip of
so
my
there was
tongue.
a time when Uber was the number one app on
Kalanick.
the App Store, okay? And they started breaking some of the policies and procedures of the App Store. And Tim Cook, the CEO of Apple, went and met with the founder of Uber and said, "We're kicking you off of our app." And literally what we saw there was that a company that the consumer wanted, that was good for the consumer, was going to overnight go from the number one app on the App Store to being obsolete because they were going to get eliminated from the ecosystem.
Hmm.
And now the real estate industry, when you look at these powerful conglomerates, they've learned from it. And so you see what Zillow did with their super app, and they're trying to get everybody into their ecosystem. Okay. What's happening now is that Rocket is making this huge play. And by the way, this is where I can't say some things, but I can say this. Other companies have tried to do this the last couple of years. Like I know for a fact, major mortgage companies I can't mention their name, but like tried to buy major brands and tried to try to pull people in to get that search, to get them into there, to build the next super app. And so when you see what Rocket did first with Redfin, um, and then when you see what they did now with Mr. Cooper, they now control over $2 trillion of unpaid loans. They service over $2 trillion of unpaid loans, which is
I mean,
astronomical
huge,
how
huge,
big that
huge.
is. And
Yeah.
they now have from the beginning, when you talk about Redfin and those places, and now look, the CEO of Mr. Cooper came out yesterday and literally said end to end, literally said we need to be the
Yeah.
Apple of this industry. And I was like, and I've been saying this for months now. I'm like, holy crap, they're actually saying it now. What they are trying to do is this is a Cold War right now. And there is a Cold War and there is a race right now to who's going to get everybody into their ecosystem for it, who's going to get them into their app store. Because let's face it, once you're in the app store, when you have an Apple phone, how annoying is it when someone else has a Droid? Like
So annoying.
many people will switch to Apple just because of the communications thrown off. It's just not convenient. It's just not, whatever. And so what they're
Nobody
trying
likes
to
to see
do,
that green bubble.
yeah, man. So it's like what they're trying to do is they're trying to create a system where from beginning to end, you do everything in this ecosystem and we control it even post close, which is where all the power is. And we can talk about that. They're trying to create an ecosystem, and there is a Cold War right now for who's going to create the ecosystem that everybody's going to join in on. And the truth is that your consumers would prefer to work with you. You have the relationships, but we're in the economy of convenience. People do things all the time that are outside of their best interests. And Redfin themselves released a picture that showed here was closing costs, pre-settlement. Here it is after this settlement and after we do this closing, where they showed that they can cut closing costs or the amount that a consumer pays in half. And the way they do it is by taking from the agent because they can make it up in other places. And so as agents, we can talk about this throughout, but if you're not paying attention to this, if you're a frog in boiling water, and you're not looking at how do I create an ecosystem? How do I create something where I'm in front of people all the time? Very slowly right now, you are going to notice that consumers are going to go, to one of these apps or to one of these all-in-one systems, if the real estate industry doesn't wake up. And again, I'm
Well,
not an alarmist. Those who
yeah.
follow me, I have never been anti this or anti. It's clear as day now. That's what's happening.
Do you think so? I hear a lot of, we want to take the, end to end. We want to take the stress out of buying a home. We want to streamline the process. Do you think, first of all, buying a home, selling a home, it's stressful regardless. You can't take that out of it.
It's the
You
third
can
most stressful thing in
streamline,
life: death, divorce, and moving.
right? 100%. Do you think that an app can really streamline it, or is it up to the agent to just know so much about it to streamline it themselves for their consumers, for their
Well, of
clients,
course, an
everybody else?
app can streamline, but let's not. This is the mistake people make is that we go so far one way or the other. And, we look at tech, we're like, well, tech can't do this or tech can do this. The role of technology is to free us up to do the things we should have been doing all along. Okay. And so when you start talking about streamlining and you talk about technology and you talk about, whatever, this morning I have DM'd with people on Instagram in 8 different countries. Okay. Now, uh, it's not my app that did it for me. It's not, but my app, that Instagram app, is what gave me the platform that went out to the broad and then ultimately made everything smaller and gave me the ability one to one to do what I did. Okay. And so I did what I should have done all along, which was personal connection, but my technology, that app, made it easier. And so the role of technology is not to replace you. The role of technology is to free you up to do the things you should have been doing all along. And so it's not that these apps can on their own streamline. It's that they can create an environment where streamlining is now possible. And then when it's necessary, just like when you're making pasta or you're making sauce, it's cooking in the pan, but every once in a while you have to go and stir it. You have to go do that, right? If you don't go and stir it, it's just going to blow up. So the pan, the oven is the stove is what makes that environment possible for you to do what you do at scale. And that's kind of how you have to look at it.
That's a
That's
really
a
good
weird
analogy,
example.
brother.
I understand. I've
No,
never
I
used
think
that
it's great.
example, but you
Just
get the
made me
point.
hungry, but
Yeah.
um,
Hey.
so with these, with these partnerships or consolidations, how do you feel these are good or bad for small teams, solo agents, traditional brokerages? Where do you see their place in all of this?
Um, so first off, okay, so let's say is it good or bad for the industry? Well, consumers decide that. You know,
Correct.
consumers are undefeated. They decide what it is they want. Good or bad is all about how you react to it.
Hmm.
I said before, competition either eliminates you or makes you better. And so there are going to be some people 100% that are going to be eliminated because they're going to refuse to adjust because they're going to keep saying this is a people to people business. Most of my business comes from referrals. No different than, Blockbuster used to tell you that people still come in and rent our videos. And the important thing to understand was that, they bet wrong. People didn't stop renting videos, they changed how they did it. And so when you look at, yeah, people are going to keep buying homes and they're going to keep using an agent. Yeah, you're right. Yes. But how they do it is going to change. And so there's an onus on us as, that old thing, right? Like if you're not working every day to put yourself out of business, someone else will. It's
Correct.
it's
Yeah.
that kind of idea. I think that sometimes people get so stuck in what got them here, and then they have success in the way that they're doing it, which means they have proof of concept, and now they assume that's what's going to get them to the next place. And if we got stuck in that mentality, you'd still have people racing in NASCAR with a horse and buggy because there was a time when that was the fastest horse on the planet. And then we got horsepower, which was a different thing. And that's what's happening right now is we have a lot of people who are successful as individuals, as teams, as brokerages. And they're telling everybody, look, I'm killing it. I'm the fastest horse around. And all around you is generating horsepower. Like it's a different thing. And if you're not putting yourself out of business, someone is. And so when I say competition eliminates you or it makes you better, what you have to do is you have to look at what they're doing, which is going to work. There's a reason they spent $9.7 billion on
Hmm.
Mr.
Hmm.
Cooper. There's a reason why they spent, what was it, 1.7 billion for Red or whatever it was. Like we're talking over
1.3 or something.
11
Yeah.
billion with a B dollars. Like they know what they're doing. So what you have to do is you have to look at it and say, okay, what are they doing? How do I replicate that? Because what you're going to have over the next couple of years is you're going to have a lot of agents that are complaining that these places stole their clients. And in my experience, you can't steal something. Nobody can steal something that you're taking care of. Okay. The
Yeah.
only way
Yeah.
that they'll leave you is if you're not.
There's a
And
great
so we have
comment in
we have
the
a
chat.
blind spot right now in our industry that we're so focused on transactions that we don't understand lifetime value.
Yeah, there's a great comment in the chat that kind of goes along with, the consumer decides. And this is just one person's observation, but she's seeing her her millennial clients are wanting in-person hands-on recommendations from personal experience for outside services versus an app. They see
Sure.
value in the agent being the go-to, fitting pieces together seamlessly. Yeah, I mean, there's going to be people that appreciate that. I think especially because human beings have empathy and
Yeah.
we understand feelings, and an app doesn't understand that. And when you're buying and selling,
Correct.
it's not just a business transaction, it's an emotional transaction. So I think that
Yes.
people are going to uh, feel that they do want the human touch when it comes down to it. And then the technology, like you said, will do the things that you should have been doing, and then the human being can do, the emotional, because we're therapists too at the same time,
Yeah, but,
Jared.
but think about it though. Like think, okay, so I agree with everything you're saying right now, but they're not going to lose that.
Right.
They're going to get a lesser version of it, and they won't even
Yeah.
know that they are because they won't have the experience of the other thing happening at the same time.
Hmm. Hmm.
When warm water hits you, you call it hot water until you actually feel hot water, and then you go, "Oh, that was just warm water," because you're not experiencing it at the same time.
Yeah.
And so all of these apps and these ecosystems they're trying to bring them into, they're still going to deal with people. They're still going to, when they
100%.
do their mortgage, when they do that, they're going to talk to someone. They're just not going to have the ability at that moment to compare it to what they would have been having, which was somebody locally who right there is walking them through, who knows the local vendors, who knows the local, but they're like, when you go from what they're going to talk to someone, they might even jump on a Zoom. And then they're going to go over here and they're going to, oh, personal touch, personal touch. And they're not even going to realize that what they're in is a bad relationship, not a loving relationship. They're just going to call it a relationship. And because they're not experiencing the other thing at the same time, they won't even know it at the moment.
Yeah. Or a relationship.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's that's interesting, but yeah. Yeah. It's think about it though. You don't even like if you've ever been through something in your life or like you've been in an average relationship and then you get
Yeah.
into, a relationship that is amazing or where you feel a certain way and you feel a certain way towards that person and you just want to serve that person and and all of a sudden you're like, "Oh crap, that wasn't a great relationship over there. I was just telling everybody it was great because I had nothing else to compare it to." You know?
Yeah.
And
100%.
unfortunately, if we allow this to happen and we don't ultimately build our own ecosystems, that's what's going to happen with so many consumers during their third most stressful time in life. Death, divorce, and moving, buying and selling their largest asset they're ever going to own. And so it's up to us to change before we are changed out. It's up
Oh,
to
I
us
like
to
that.
pivot. Yeah, it's the truth, man. We get so I look, I've said for years, I know we don't know each other well, but I've said for years at events, the quickest way to underperform on your potential is to get romantic about how you got here. Okay. Because we fall in love with the idea of how we got here. And
Hmm.
unfortunately, almost like a good artist, you can't make the same album again. You can't do the same thing. You can't release an album on, that's great for iPods. Or sell them out of the back seat of your car anymore. Or, that worked for you to get here. But the quickest way to underperform on your potential moving forward is to get romantic about how you got here. All that
Hmm.
matters is now. And our industry really needs to take a look at ourselves and realize the changes that are happening and what's going on. Because most of the arguments that I see agents making for what their value is, AI completely is going to do away with that. It's going to completely replace that, And so we need to understand, we need to have a reckoning on what our value actually is.
Yeah, no more of the, that's not how it's done or this is how it's always been done type thing that
Right.
agents love to say that have been in the business for 30, 40 years. This isn't how we do things. Well, listen, it's how we're gonna do things now.
Yeah,
So
people
let's
people
look
like to say, "Oh, I've been doing this 30 years." And I'm like, "You might have
good.
sucked for 30 years." Like, I don't know.
Congratulations.
Like, I mean, you might have been great for 30 years. You might have sucked for 30 years. You might have been great for 15 and so I don't how long you've been around literally does not matter anymore. How much longer you're going to be around is all that matters now, okay? And that is not determined by your resume. That is determined by the future prospects who are going to decide in this economy of convenience whether you make things easier for them or not, whether you are convenient to work with or not, whether you relieve stress during this time for them or not. And the ones who are going to win moving forward, we have had such a focus on getting in front of people at the time of the transaction. How do we get in front of them at the right time? The right time. The ones who are going to win moving forward are going to learn how to integrate themselves into every areas of their clients' lives, whether it immediately leads to a sale or not. We have to be integrated into everything. We have to be offering out who they're going to work with 3 years post close, whether they're buying again at that time or not. We have to integrate into their lives.
Yeah, I totally agree with you 100%. Let's switch gears a little bit. We'll go into the next hot topic. And it's something that's been happening for a while now, the commission lawsuit, the commission settlements. You know, um, you talk about becoming undisruptible. How
Yeah.
can agents protect themselves from disruption as these legal and industry shifts unfold right before their eyes? And do you think that we're going to see a decline in the number of full-time agents, or are we going to just have an evolution of how we provide value? I mean, I guess there's two questions. So, like, how can we protect themselves? How can we protect ourselves from being disruptible in this
Yeah.
current situation that we're in?
You can't stop yourself from being disrupted. That's coming regardless. It's already happened. It keeps happening. It's the thing that, they always say control what you can control, but there's so many things that have been outside of our control the last year, which are super frustrating. It's so funny because we just went through this whole lawsuit. I don't know if you saw this yesterday or the day before, but a judge came out for MLS PIN in Massachusetts, and
Hmm.
literally the judge questioned in their ruling. They said, "Why did NAR agree to not put offers of compensation on an MLS? Isn't that the seller's choice to be able to offer out?" And literally,
Oops.
the judge was surprised, and so the judge upheld that MLS PIN was allowed to offer or post offers of compensation on MLS
Yeah,
PIN,
that never made
and
sense to me
literally
either.
pointed to the First Amendment and was confused as to why another judge said that you can't, or a jury said you can't. And I don't think enough people paid attention to that. And I was sitting over here going, yeah, I think we all were kind of saying that. This is bullcrap.
Yeah,
They found a
makes no
jury
sense.
dumb enough that was able. Remember, they tried this case in many different places. They just found a jury dumb enough. And
Yeah,
that's what sucks about the world that we live in today. The world that we live in today, it's no longer about what's right and wrong. It's about what can you litigate. That's what matters. And I remember having again, I've had a lot of conversations with Kevin Sears, the president of NAR, and I remember right after the settlement happened, he called me, and it was the day that it happened, and I was at my son's soccer tournament. I see my phone ring, and it's Kevin Sears. I pick up the phone, and I'm like, "What, are you bored?" And he's like, "Oh, dude." And then we had a very off the record conversation. But I think that what everybody in this industry needs to understand, because everybody's pissed off at NAR, and look, nobody's been more of a critic than I have, right?
yeah,
But also understand NAR had absolutely no choice. They were being told by these attorneys, it's an absolute money grab, first off. Okay. The fact that they come up with a formula that includes how much money you have in the bank, that is so corrupt. I don't even know like how that's legal. The fact that Remax, that has three times the agents of Berkshire Hathaway and yet pays 58 million in a settlement, and Berkshire Hathaway, that has a third of the sales volume in agents, pays 250 million just because they have a guy named Warren Buffett
yeah,
in their corner, is corrupt. But you'll never, the real corruption was those attorneys. But the reason you'll never hear about that is because every senator in Congress is an attorney. So they're not going to go after their own, right? So these people, though, they came to NAR and they're like, look, we're going to litigate, and you either settle and allow the companies that are over $2 billion dollars for us to go back for round two to them, or we'll just litigate you into bankruptcy. And that's what they were going to do. And so NAR had a choice. They could either go into bankruptcy through this litigation where they would protect nobody, or they would settle with a bad deal and leave the companies that were over 2 billion dollars in sales volume, who pay all their bills, who have all the agents, leave them out in the open, exposed. But they had no choice. Like, that's the part that like people aren't understanding. It was one or the other, and both were bad
hmm,
options. Okay. So I'm with you. The deal sucks. It's wrong. It's a cash grab. Broker to broker compensation is going away. It's not going to be here anymore, guys. Not because I think that's right or because I agree with it. I'm just telling you the truth. Like, we got found guilty of two things. One was collusion, which is absurd. Spend 5 minutes in our industry and you find out not only are we not colluding, most agents don't like each other, let alone colluding. And
right.
and number two, what we found out, or what we got found guilty of, was price fixing. And what they defined as price fixing is all that matters. They said that when you go into a house as an agent and you negotiate with that seller and you negotiate a percentage and you say that as part of this percentage, I can share to the other side this percent if they bring the buyer. They said because that percent was already fixed before that other side was a part of the transaction, that is price fixing. Now, we know that's absurd. That is literally just called incentive. But once they legally defined it as that, there's now legal precedence. So for everybody who's still doing broker to broker, and go look at the words from Attorney Ketchmark. He's literally said he's coming back around. He's going to go to all of those companies and people who are still doing broker to broker, and he's going to resue, and it'll be the easiest case ever. And so for everybody listening, we don't have to agree in order to adjust. That's over. What you need to do now is you just need to go in and tell sellers and say, hey, it's just a change in accounting. Attorneys got involved and they complicate everything. And that's what they've done here, and we're stuck in the middle. But it's just a change in accounting. It used to be that you would pay me and then I would pay them. And now it's going to be you're going to pay me and you're going to pay them based on what they request. It's just a change in accounting. And so we have to, regardless whether we agree with what's happened or not, We have to put that aside and recognize that our consumers don't live in our bubbles. They don't have me showing up on their phone every day talking about, whatever the next thing is. They don't live in these bubbles. They get little headlines sent to them by their sister. It's kind of like politics. Nobody actually
Hmm.
knows what's going on. They just read a headline and think they know everything about everybody. This one's
Yeah.
terrible. This one's amazing. This one's like, it's the same thing. Our job is to go into that very complex situation. Our job is to be the adult in the room, which means we don't have to agree with everything to come to a peaceful resolution and make it easy for them. It's about them. And so we just got to tell them, change in accounting, attorneys got involved. Here's what's going to happen. Because I'm telling you right now, guys, if you keep doing broker to broker, even though I think there's no problem with it, more lawsuits coming. And it's going to be the quickest lawsuit ever because it's already been legally defined. So the short answer, I think it's all bullcrap. I think it's a money grab. They're going to come back for more. There's other lawsuits coming also in regards to other things and MLSs and local boards and all that stuff. But it doesn't matter. Our job is to serve the consumer and do what's best for them with the new rules that have been set to us.
There's there is a comment. Let me just if you feel that way, what do you say to those who create our contracts that still include broker to broker in listing agreements? Will that go away?
I think they're insane. If I'm being completely honest, many major companies have come out and said, you're an independent contractor. You do what you want. We're not going to put it there, but you can put it in the other. You can put it in the additional. You're an
Hmm.
independent contractor. We can't tell you what to do. But I'm telling you, man, like the majors that are still putting broker to broker, I don't understand it. I literally like I look at what's going on and I look at what has been legally defined now, and I just
Yeah.
think it's stubborn. And I think you're setting
Hmm.
yourself up for another lawsuit. Again, it's not about what we think is right. I'm not telling you what I agree with. And I think
Yeah.
that's a part that people have to separate here.
Yeah.
What I'm telling you is the reality of the situation. And it is going to be the easiest and quickest lawsuit they've ever had because it's already been legally defined. So I
People
am
don't like to
shocked
hear
by
the
companies
truth.
that
You know
still
what I
do it.
mean? That's the
Yeah.
thing.
And I don't
They
like it.
don't,
By the way, I don't like it. I
yeah.
disagree. You know, it doesn't matter. Like the quicker
So
we
are we
move
headed?
on and just say this is the new rules, the better off we're going to be. And it's not even about whether they should be able to litigate or they should. Man, we live in a corrupt world right now where the most whenever I've learned in this world that whatever somebody is pointing at and calling somebody else is what they are. So what they do
100%.
is they call you that first so that you don't put the focus on them. So well, you've got all these attorneys and everything pointing to our industry going corrupt agents, corrupt realtors, corrupt system. Who's really corrupt? It's the one who's pointing. Like, but as long as they're the ones saying it first, right? It's this is a childhood, like kindergarten example, but it's like
Right.
the one who blames for the dealt it smelt it thing. They're probably the one
Yeah.
who did it. And it's the exact same thing right now. You've got these corrupt attorneys who have found a cash grab, and everything that they are, they feel like if they yell it to other people, then they won't be corrupt. Look at the freaking guy, Josh Sitzer, that brought the lawsuit to begin with because he
Right.
wasn't able to negotiate, and commissions should be negotiable and they should be. And then he goes as soon as the new rules get put in place and starts a flat fee brokerage option.
Right. And
And
we all
like,
know what happened with that.
does
Nothing.
nobody go to him and go, hey, Mr. Sitzer, are those flat fees negotiable? Wasn't that the whole
It's
point?
completely hypocritical.
It's all corruption, right? But if they can keep making you point the cameras at the other side, you don't see all the corruption that's happening out here. And that's what's going on right now. It's
So,
unfortunate, but we still have to operate within it.
yeah. Do we see a world where buyer agents are just regularly going to pay their agents like
Where
directly,
buyers are
like
going to pay their buyer agent?
yeah, commonplace, like all
No,
around? Or
no.
how do you think we're gonna?
Going to be paid by
So,
the seller. Like, by the way, exactly what I said was going to happen months ago is happening. Commissions have gone up, not for everybody, but overall they have because we are now in a situation where everyone's going to get paid exactly what they're worth. And so all you're seeing now is that yeah, the conversation changes where you got to talk to a buyer now and say, look, there's one of three ways this can go. There might be the traditional way where they're offering out, they're letting us know, and blah, blah, blah. There might be another way where we're just going to have to put it in our offer. They're still willing to pay it. Or there might be a third option where they're not willing to compensate. And in that case, you would be
Yeah.
on the hook. And by the way, that's
Yeah.
always been an option. There's always been sellers
Oh,
who are unwilling to
for sure.
compensate. And keep in mind, if they're not willing to compensate me, they're not willing to compensate anybody. That's not like, whatever. So it changes the conversation. And I would also, by the way, I would tell everybody, this is where the coach side of me comes out, where like people go, well, I asked this agent, if they're willing to offer comp, and they said no. Well, that's bullcrap. Like, remember, every offer you ever make is actually a counter offer. Like, even when you make an initial offer, that's not an initial offer. That's a counter
Right.
offer. The
Yep.
offer was the list price, right? So
A
when
hundred
someone says,
percent.
no, my seller's not willing, you just reply and say, so you're telling me if I give them full price and add the commission on top, they won't do it? And they go, yeah, of course they would. So I guess they're willing, right? And so you realize that what they're saying is not accurate. Now, having said that, we've already seen it occurring. Like it's not that now more buyers are going to have to pay their agents. It's that more now you're going to have a change in that accounting. Seller pays the listing agent, seller pays the buying agent. Put it in your offer. It's now just one of the terms that you put in your offer. It's really that simple.
Yeah, and if a seller is smart, they want to sell their house in a competitive market and they know what they need to do. And
That's it, man. Not to
also,
mention from a comp perspective. When you're running
yeah,
comps and you say, well, my neighbor got this. Yeah, but they paid a full, they paid this percentage. You're not. So we're
really,
taking
if you
that off
think
the
about
top.
it, if you think about it, nothing has really changed. You know what I mean? In the sense that
It's
like
a change in
this has
accounting.
right. And like it's in a sense, it's always been done this way. We just haven't. No, let's see. I'm saying that thing that I said that agents say. This is how it's always been done.
Right.
But in a sense, there's always been an option for the seller to not pay a
Dude,
commission
when
and
when
for
a
the buyer
seller,
to
we
continue.
teach our students, right? We have our academy, our Jared James Academy, and we teach them like things to say in certain situations. And like a seller comes to you and goes, you're going to potentially list their property. You're at a listing appointment, and they say, oh, I heard that I don't have to pay a buyer's agent anymore. And you say, yeah, did you hear that now or 50 years ago? Because it was true in both times. That's never
So
been the case. Like that you've never had to do anything, right? It's an option. You put out an incentive, which opens you up to the overall market and all of those buyers with their agents. If you want, top price, you've got to have top demand, right? At the end of the day, demand is what is going to create. So you don't have to pay me. You don't have to do anything, right?
right,
You don't have to go out for dinner. You can make it yourself. Nobody's making you anything, right? And so we
totally.
just need to understand how to talk to people and the right questions to ask them. And what we have now is we have an opportunity to demonstrate and separate ourselves as pros. Most of our students, by the way, are getting more on the listing side now because they're just negotiating on their behalf. And then whatever the other side
Hmm.
asks for, now that becomes part of the negotiations. So like almost all of our students, their commission has gone up as a result. And that goes back to you don't have to agree with everything in order to take advantage of it. Like, look, the rules were not, they were for consumers. Well, now they're costing the consumers more money. Now, are there some that are making less? Absolutely. We are in a situation now where you're going to get paid what you're worth. But now we have to actually be able to demonstrate our value. And we have to remember that everything we do in a situation, every time we meet with a client, every way we follow up with a lead, everything we do is a demonstration of what they can expect when they make the right decision to hire us. So if somebody is still questioning your value after a certain amount of time, it's because you haven't done the things that demonstrate your value up until that point.
Well, yeah, that was one of my questions. Like, are we going to see a decline in the number of full-time agents, or will we see an evolution in how they provide and prove their value? I think we're going to see both. That's what
Yeah, I
I
mean,
think.
there's no way we don't see a decline in the number of
Yeah,
agents. Like,
because of this.
I mean, look, everybody, we all got into these reality shows, right? It's like you get your real estate license and it comes with fake boobs, and it's just like everybody who couldn't make it at their real job became an agent. And I think that the more difficult this industry became, it was already uber difficult, but the more difficult it became to where you can't just show up, be friendly, be good looking, be charismatic, but you have to now be able to have awkward conversations. that barrier to entry is going to get rid of some of those, those checker outers, the ones who are like, I lost my job, I'll try real estate. Because I think that barrier to entry is not a terrible thing. I think that conversation being forced, an awkward conversation being forced, is actually positive for our industry. It
Yeah.
separates pros. It separates, it's like I did a video about this. It's like, when should I buy? Well, that's 300 years ago is when you should buy. Every house in America, that's when you should. But what kind of question is that? We're not buying
Right.
crypto here. We're not
Right.
buying penny stocks. We're not timing the market. It's not how it works. Real estate's a long-term play. And so those that are actually trained and understand how to answer questions and understand how to have these difficult but complex but large conversations, they're going to separate themselves.
Yeah, Katie Carter in the chat had a really great comment a few minutes ago, and it kind of goes along with what you were saying. She says, if you can explain the changes correctly to your clients, you can now decide to make this change for the better and give yourself the raise you deserve. Most agents before the lawsuit accepted what was offered by the listing agent and was
Correct.
negotiated ahead of time. My commission has gone up since the lawsuit.
Yeah, man. I use an example at live events, right? I do a lot of like events and stuff, and it's such a weird example, but it's just true. And I talk about the power of conversation and how conversation is now forced and how that actually for good agents is a good thing. And I'll look at the audience and I'll say, "Hey, you ever seen somebody from like the opposite sex or something and they're like a straight 10. They are a 10. I mean, look, you look at me, you're like that's a 10 right there." And then they start to talk. And the more they talk, it's like 9, 8, 7,
Yeah.
like, shut up, stop talking. Like, and it's like them talking conversation lowers them. And then at the same time, you've ever seen somebody who's like a 5 and then they talk and you're like, that's a
Hey,
7.2 right there.
there
Like,
you
that's
go.
and that conversation being forced in our industry means that everybody's got a chance to be a 10. Like everybody now has an opportunity to talk and answer questions and alleviate, the stress they have or the questions that they have or the concerns they have. And all of us have a chance to be a 10 now because it's not enough to just look good in the corner and show homes. There's awkward conversation that's forced. There's buyer agency that has to be signed. There's
Yep.
compensation that could come from various places. There's all these things now. It forces conversation and it gives those that are pros, those that care enough to jump on something like this, it gives them a chance to raise their profile, so to say. You may have been born with a bad nose or eyes that are too far apart or whatever it is, but you now operate in an industry where you get to be a straight 10 if you understand how to talk to people and alleviate their concerns.
Dude, I love
And
it.
I
I
know
think
that's a
that's
weird
actually
I know that's a weird example, man, but
no,
yeah,
I mean, first of all, your food analogies are the best. There's a bunch of those.
how my head works, man.
Like stirring
I'm
the
a whack job.
sauce. You can have a decision to go out to
I'm gonna write
dinner.
that one down, the sauce one,
Did you just come up with that off the top of your
on the
head?
spot. I never said that before in my life. Yeah.
Oh my God, that was
Dude, I have a
fantastic.
weird head, man. I have like the head of a stand-up comedian who does real estate, of all things. But
I
yeah,
mean, we
man,
are in a funny industry. I'll give you that
yeah,
much.
my head is a weird, it's like that whole you got a chance to be the hot girl in the room. You got a chance to be a 10. Like it's like my head just works in a certain way, where, again, like I told an audience recently, like we have to understand that everybody right now, every buyer right now is engaged in modern day dating, where it like you used to show up, you'd sit down at a meal, and in the old days it was like you're a gentleman, you pay for the meal. You go on a date now, you meet somebody on an app and it's like, am I paying? Are you paying? Are we splitting? Are we doing like that's the average buyer's experience right now. They don't know
Yeah,
who's
yeah.
paying. And so our job is to alleviate that.
I love it. Hey man, this has been amazing. I think this is a good place to see us out just because I think the advice was so great. I dropped your jaredjamestoday.com/advance in the chat again. You also have a podcast, right? Jared James
I
Today,
do,
is that what it's
man.
called?
Dude, we just moved into a new podcast space where we literally now have three different options for different types of setups for podcasts. Where we can do, almost like the flagrant, sit on the couch in the chair and relax. We can do the round table with the dark background, be a little more serious. We can be like, we've got all these different. We just moved in like 2 days ago, so
Are
we're
you
going
there right
all in
now? It looks
on.
like you might be.
What's that?
Is that where you are now?
I'm in, yeah, right now I'm in just kind of like a straight on shop. But yeah, but we've got a lot of options now. So I'm putting in the
So
chat
cool.
there. You guys can connect with jared.com. all the social platforms are there, all of the podcast stuff is there, and if you like somebody who talks about the things that matter to you, but maybe talks about them in a way that maybe you don't hear most of the industry leaders talk about things. I'm not beholden to anybody, I don't work for anybody. I don't, like I can say what I'm actually thinking,
Dude, I
with
love
no
this page
fear.
connect with Jared on social media. I got to do this. This is a crazy
Everybody
cool
should do
page.
that. Nick, that's a great point. Everybody should be doing that. We live in a world where there's so many different social profiles, and I think the mistake people make is that they go, "Well, I'm on Instagram or I'm on this," and that's it. It's not our job to determine where people are. We have to go everywhere that they are. And so rather than, having a signature or telling people on Facebook I'm this, on Instagram I'm this, on TikTok I'm this, on this one I'm this, just drop in every one of your signatures and everything you do. Just drop a little one-page landing page, connect with blank, and make it easy for them. So when you have your signature go out, don't have all your icons. Just say connect, connectwithnick.com. It's all there. Let them decide where they want to connect with you.
I love that. That's super awesome. Great advice. Hey, everyone. Thank you so much for being on the call today. We are going to post this replay on the Lab Coat Agents YouTube channel. So just go to youtube.com, search Lab Coat Agents, subscribe to the channel. You'll also be emailed out the replay since you were here and registered and you joined us. You will get the replay as well. Give us like about 24 hours to get that out to you. So Jared, appreciate you being here, man.
Yeah, man, we
I'm
got like a
super,
50% show up.
dude, we did. We had 1,200 people register. We had
We had a
almost
little
700
600
people on the
on.
call.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I think you get to have a cookie because of this.
I don't
Yeah.
know about that, man. I'm coming off of too many cookies, so I'm in mode right now.
Oh, okay, cool. Me
I'm heading
too.
to California soon with my boys, and we're gonna be hitting the beach and stuff. And so I'm never
No
gonna look
cookies.
like my teenage boys, but my goal is just don't be embarrassed.
Well, you could have one of those perfect cookies with the protein.
Dude, you know what I eat? I eat the Quest
Oh,
peanut
are
butter
those
cookies, the
good?
protein
They have really
cookies.
high fat though.
No, don't say
The
that. Not
Quest ones?
The Quest protein cookie.
I believe
I
so.
don't think that's accurate. I think you just spewed misinformation. Okay, I want to make sure. And I've never wanted to be more right in my life. I hope to God you are wrong right
You
now.
can turn it around and look at the nutritional
Oh, do
information.
not ruin my life here. I've been doing good with
You
these
look great
things.
though. I've seen the pictures of you guys on the beach. You look very svelte. Don't
Oh,
worry.
that's all filters, man. Don't you know we're all supposed to be so
Just
transparent
bringing in the edges on
and
the phone there.
authentic, and then you're supposed to pick from 27 filters. No, I'm just kidding. There's no filters on those. I'm just playing. Wouldn't
He's
that
like,
be
no, I'm
great
just playing.
though?
That's in my actual six pack. Chad says in the fat in the chat, the fat, 17 grams of fat in a Quest cookie, dude. You
You
gotta
know what,
have
Chad? Chad, you're as big a liar as Nick, okay? You're
Chad, that's
obviously a
fake news.
plant.
That's
All
fake
right. And
news.
Chad, just so you know, I hope you stub your toe later. Nothing serious. I don't want a serious injury, but I want it to hurt. Okay.
He
Because if
didn't
you're
wish
telling
that
me
you
I can't
stepped.
eat these cookies anymore, I'm going to be very angry.
Chad, I hope you step on a Lego in the middle of the night
Yeah,
in the dark.
they have 1 gram of sugar. Like that's all I look at. They have 1 gram of sugar. Like, and I'm at the age now where we just avoid sugar like the plague. Like sugar,
Eat the
whenever I like even
perfect
see
cookie.
sugar,
Eat the
I see
perfect cookie.
cancer. What's
Eat
that?
the perfect cookie. Eat
I
that
thought I
instead.
was eating the
Less
perfect cookie.
lower. Yeah, they don't taste as good, but that's because there's no fat.
God, I'm just gonna start gnawing on my fingernails. I'm done. Every time you think something's good, it's not good. I swear, every time you think you're doing good and something's good, you find out, oh, but it's got this, and oh, it's
Okay.
got that.
Well,
I'm just eating fingernails.
Gina says Quest is for the protein, the brain needs fat. There you go. We like Gina.
You
Gina,
know what,
don't stub your
Gina?
toe
I hope you
later.
don't stub your toe. Okay. I hope that you actually get your nails done later. Okay. I hope the opposite of Chad on you. Okay. Because if you guys ruined this whole protein things I eat for my life, then this whole thing was a sham. I wish I
Oh
never
my
sat down
God.
here.
Oh my God. All right, dude.
Okay.
Well, listen, I appreciate you. This has been fun. Got a lot of fun stuff here for the interwebs for sure. Everyone have an amazing day. Jared, appreciate you, buddy. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, man. Hopefully we'll have some people at our social mastermind. More of you at the advance, but love doing this, man. Guys, feel free to say hello, send me a DM, follow along. We always got good stuff going. I got a video I'm doing later today too. So appreciate it,
Sweet.
man. Love you
All
guys.
right, talk to you soon. Goodbye.